We are going to learn about creating ceiling plans and ceilings. So I'm going to go ahead and draw some walls in here. Just make a few spaces so we can work within these. All right, so to create ceilings, I'm going to go to my architecture tab and I have my ceiling command here. Now, one thing to note, when you start that ceiling command, it's going to put you into a sketch mode similar to the floors. And I have the opportunity, I can do automatic ceilings or I can sketch ceilings. So we'll go through both here in this video. But on the first one for the automatic ceiling, very easy. It's just going to use the walls as the extent of the ceiling. But something that's really important is to make sure that you are actually in a ceiling plan view. Right now I'm in my floor plan, so I'm going to go ahead and click to show you what it will do if you're in a floor plan. You see over here in your properties, over here it's a 2x2 ACT, so that's our acoustical ceiling tile. And then it does have a default of 9 foot high from level 1. So if I click here, if I'm in my floor plan and I click, I'm going to get an error that none of the created elements are visible in this floor plan, as they shouldn't be because my view range is cutting below that 9 foot looking down. But the really important thing here is that it did still create a ceiling. So it's really easy if you're in your floor plan view to just get in here and start clicking away because you're not seeing the ceilings created. So to not make that mistake, don't start in your floor plan. Make sure you go here in your project browser to a ceiling plan. I'm going to open that up and there you go. And now you can see my ceiling here. All right, so it did create that 2x2 ACT. There are a few different ceiling types that are existing in the template here. So you should have a 2x2, a 2x4, and then a gyp on metal stud and a gyp on wood. And the 2x2 and the 2x4 are as if it was, an ACT grid. It is a model pattern. So you can actually move this around and adjust your ceiling grid as you would. You wouldn't want to, if you can, you want to make sure you get as many full tiles as possible. So you probably don't want something like that with the small edges. So you'd move that around and adjust it. You can also use, you can click and drag. It's not as precise. You can also use your move tool to adjust that. Before I was just using the arrow keys, nudging it around. All right, so that's how I would use the automatic ceiling. I'll go ahead and just do one more here. I do want to get, just going to copy this wall over here. So you can see it here while we're in the correct view. I'll go ceiling, automatic ceiling. We'll go to the extents here and one click to place. All right, if I want to sketch in a ceiling, let's say I have two different ceiling types in the same room, I'm going to sketch the ceiling, and then I have my typical draw commands up here. I'm going to go ahead and use the rectangle since it's a nice rectangular space, and I'm going to draw just to about here. Now I have a 9-foot 2x2, but that is a sketch, so I can just filling a portion of the room there. So if I were to have another ceiling in this space, and let's go ahead and adjust this too. I'm going to drop this down to 8 foot. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw in a soffit here on the side. And I'm going to make sure that's a 2-foot deep soffit. So I'm going to select my ceiling here. I'm going to hit edit boundary. And I can go back in and adjust that. So my quick dimension here is to the inside face of the wall, which is great. So I'll just use that to move that wall, that line up. So I have 2 foot there. Anytime, you can always go in and adjust these ceilings and adjust the boundaries, just like floors. All right, so let's go back architecture, ceiling command. I'm going to go ahead and draw a gyp ceiling here. And I want to make sure that I don't sketch it all the way over the top of the other model, right? That's not what I would do here. I don't want two ceilings layered on top of each other. I make sure I go to sketch ceiling. I'm going to draw in another ceiling here as if I had a soffit on one side of the room. All right, and then that one's going to be at 9 foot. So if I cut a section through here, right click and go to view. All right, I can see my two different ceilings here. You can also adjust ceiling heights in here. Say maybe I want that to be, 10'6", and then the soffit's lower. Either way would work, but you can also adjust it in this section. The properties will adjust as well as it's reading that information from the model. So right now I do have a little bit of a problem. I have a hole here, and I'm going to go ahead and do a 3D view so we can see that gap there. So I'm seeing through that and the two ceilings to that back wall. So I need to use a wall to infill that space. So I'm going to go back to my my ceiling plan here, and I'm going to use the wall command, and I'm going to draw it right on the edge of these two ceilings. So shortcut for that's WA. So right now, and by default, the wall location line is set to center line. So that means when I draw, you see my cursor there is set in the center line of the wall. So that would make it a little bit hard to do here, right? Because then I'm spanning both ceilings, which I don't want to do. I want to have a clean edge between them. So instead of wall center line, I'm going to switch that to finish face exterior. And then you'll see as I draw, you see how now I'm on one side of the wall and the dashed line there's on that one side. And if you hit space bar, that will allow it to flip back and forth. All right, so just an example here. And now I'm going to go ahead and draw that wall in. It's going to the wrong side for what I want. So I'm going to hit space bar, flip it over. All right, now if I go to that 3D view, we'll see the wall going all the way up. So I want to come in here and I'm going to adjust it. You can adjust this just as like a click and drag, but something that's a little bit better is actually attaching the bottom of it. So if I were to say attach, I'm going to switch it from top to base. I'm going to click to that ceiling. And the reason for doing that is because if this ceiling moves, then that wall will move with it, as long as it's attached. All right, so you're connecting that model piece together. All right, so that's it. And then we would show you could, depending on your framing and your wall types, would determine how high this is going, but we'll go ahead and leave it going all the way up above. All right, so if I go back to my 3D view, now you can see I have a wall here in between blocking it and filling that soffit space. If you want to get rid of this line here, you can also do that. Going to Modify tab, this is the line work tool. This is the most specific override tool in Revit in that it is view specific and line specific. So I'll click on line work. I'm going to switch it to invisible lines, and then I'll do one click for the ceiling and one click for the wall. And there we go. All right, so that would be creating a soffit here in Revit. So I have a gyp soffit here with my ACT above. And then if I wanted to create one all the way around a room, maybe I have a border, then I can, let's go back to my ceiling plan. All right, and if at any point in time too, you want to switch these ceilings, you can easily, just as you would for a floor or a wall, grab it and then switch it over to a different type. All right, but let's say I want to soffit all the way around this room here. I'm going to go to my architecture tab. I'm going to go to my ceiling command. And I'm going to do two ceilings. So I'm going to sketch. Again, I want to make sure that I don't do two that are going to be overlapping each other at all. So I'll go ahead and do the soffit first. So I'll use my rectangle tool and start it there. And then a really easy way to do a very clean offset. If I change the offset right here, go to 2 feet, and I'm going to draw the exact same path. Not mean to hit that lock. That's not what I wanted to do there. I'll use this corner. I'm going to use the same path, and the offset command means that with that same path, I'm creating a path that has an offset of 2 foot from the path I'm drawing on. And similar to switching the wall, if I hit spacebar and I'm just clicking it, just one hit as if you're hitting return. I'm not holding it down. You hit spacebar, and then I'm going to click to finish. And then I have a nice clean 2 foot soffit all the way around the perimeter of that room. I'm going to have that one be the lower ceiling, and I'm going to infill this. I'm going to go back to my architecture tab, ceiling command, sketch ceiling. I'm going to draw this in. You can also use just the line tool if you wanted to go around. Also, if you have some more irregular shapes, you can use pick. That will draw a line based off of another line. So multiple options to become familiar with here. All right, and then I'll go ahead and finish that sketch. Similar to a floor, I do need one enclosed boundary for the perimeter. And yeah, we'll leave that at 9 foot. I'm going to switch that though to the 2x4. All right, so now we have 2 ceilings, but I'm going to use the same section and pull it over here. Same problem as before, we need to connect these 2 ceilings. So this time it's the same principle, it's just a little bit more because we have 4 different sides. So I'm going to go to my wall command, And I'm going to use the rectangle. Start up in the corner here and then down. I do want to make sure that right now I'm going to the inside. So I'm just going underneath the ACT ceiling. I want to make sure I'm going to connect the ACT to the soffit. So I'm going to use the space bar to make sure the walls are on the right side there and then click to place. All right, now I need to go back to my section view. Now I have 4 walls that I need to deal with. This section view is only going to help for 2, but that's okay. I'm going to grab both of them. I can do both together to attach. I'm going to switch that to base and then click on the ceiling. All right, now if I go back to my ceiling plan, you'll see that we don't see those walls anymore because they are properly attached. But I do need to also deal with these other 2 walls. So this section isn't going to help for that. I need to draw one crossing it. So I'll do that, go to view, and then I repeat that process of grabbing those walls, attach, switching it to base. That means I'm at the base of the wall, and then zoom in and click the ceiling, and there we go. So then let's throw in a 3D view. Also, I recommend doing your 3D views while you are in your floor plan, not your ceiling plan. If you do it in the ceiling plan, it's going to look like this, and you're going to be actually up above the ceiling, and you have to do a bunch of adjustments on the range and the view height and all this stuff. So avoid that. Just do your camera views in your ceiling plans only. Sorry, not ceiling plans, floor plans. All right, I'll switch this to see if we have a little bit of texture there, but that way you can more clearly see the soffit and the ceiling above.